Okay, so the tool that we're going to be introducing today, which is the tool that is going to allow you to experiment a bit to make your filter, your digital filter, is called Lens Studio. It's produced by the company Snapchat. You might have heard of them. They were like a thing 5 years ago or something like that. But they continue to be alive. They have like 300 million users or something along those lines. They are not so popular in the Netherlands anymore, but I happen to think that they make really great tools. I'm going to start Lens Studio so that you see. Lens Studio also has another, let's say, competitor, Facebook. You can see on this computer over here, I also have it installed. It's Spark AR. Both tools are kind of identical in purpose. They're both used to make face filters, but Spark AR allows you a more easy, workflow to publish in Instagram and Facebook and all the Facebook-owned social networks, and Lens Studio is for Snapchat. I find that Spark AR is a bit of a lazy tool. Like, it doesn't get updated so often. It doesn't have a lot of the features that Lens Studio has. Lens Studio has gone through an insane series of updates over the last year. They have included machine learning algorithms for all kinds of things. You can do image segmentation and a bunch of other crazy stuff that is actually way out there. Like some years ago, you had to really code for weeks to be able to do something like what you can do in Lens Studio now in like 5 minutes. So yeah, that's a bit what I can say about the tool. There are two major tools for this type of AR work at the moment. There are more with Unity, but I find that those tools, Unity is a generic tool for all kinds of 3D productions, including games, etc. And I find that let's not complicate matters. Let's start with, the easiest stuff so that you get used to the workflow of working with 3D tools. So when you start Lens Studio, this is what you're presented with. So you have a series of templates. I don't know why they chose these ones. I guess that this is based on popularity. Another thing that I really hate about this stuff of face filters is just how, everything is like a toy. They make it look like a toy, which is, I guess that's what sells in the social network, but in fact it's a great creative tool, and I hope that we can unlock the potential of this so that we don't just make toys. If you click here in all templates, you will see that the number of templates also grows quite substantially, and these are example projects that you can start with, and there is quite a lot of stuff here. And what I typically do when I start is I just select one, and I start from a working example. I'll go a bit through the interface so that you understand a bit what you're looking at. So over here on the top, I am logged into my Snapchat account. This is something that you make with your mobile phone app, with a Snapchat app on your phone. And over here, this is basically my account. I am Unbearable Lightness in Snapchat. I have this avatar, and then I have here a bunch of lenses. These are my stats. As you can see, I don't care so much about the stats. In fact, when I started using these, they remained at 0 for quite a long time, and then it seems that some weeks ago somebody discovered my filters, and I now begin to get plays. I really don't care for this. I don't want my life to be gamified, but that's how the entire system works, and I'm just happy that I can play around with the tool for now. We can discuss a bit more critically what's this idea of content creation, but for now let's stick to the tool. As you can see, I have a bunch of lenses already published. Here you see that it's indicated as live, and this is a list of things that I've been doing over the last basically since the pandemic. I didn't know this tool before. I started doing this when I found myself locked at home and not even able to go to the studio, and I just figured, okay, I'm gonna learn about this stuff, and the results are some months later that I'm actually teaching you a course on 3D workflow based on these tools. Okay, let's dive right into it. I'm going to basically open an existing project. I'm going to choose this one. Look at how cute and all this toy-like stuff. Right. Okay. So what you see over here on the left, let's not pay so much attention at the moment to all these elements. This is basically your scene graph. So what this all is a series of things that are actually existing in the scene. The scene is this panel that we see over here. And right here at the bottom, we have all our resources. So resources are all kinds of assets, digital assets. It can be a sound file, it can be an image file, it can be a 3D mesh, it can be a texture in the form of a PNG, for example. an image file, etc. So over here we see that you have that nose over here, and that nose is likely present. Yeah, that's the nose that we see in the screen. So as you can see, as I click around the assets, they are pre-visualized in this third panel. This is the inspector panel you see over here. What the inspector panel allows us is it allows us to pre-visualize the asset in the case of the asset, or to have a look at the properties of the object. So in the case of us clicking on any object, like for example these eagle sunglasses, whatever that is in the scene, we see that it has a bunch of attributes. The transform is normally the position in 3D space of this object. So you have the position, the rotation, and the scale. This thing is not really important at the moment, but just so you know where to find stuff, when you click around, the inspector will basically change. So this is an easy way of just exploring what's in your scene, especially if you preload an existing example. This central panel that we have around here, the one that is displaying now these deer horns and the ears, and this is your 3D view. Now, again, everything that I'm running you through, you will see that this is similar in Unreal Engine, is similar in Unity, and is similar in Spark AR, is similar in many other digital production tools for 3D content, because the conventions by now, the conventions of basic interfacing with 3D content are kind of set. So you will see that a lot of the things that you can learn through Lens Studio, you can then apply to more complex pieces of software. So as you can see, I'm now pressing my my right button, and the right button allows you to rotate your 3D view. So over here I can basically look around and what's in my scene. If I operate the wheel, so if I do with my mouse wheel front, and back, front and back, basically zooms in and out, as you can see. If I press the middle mouse button, then I can pan around, and you can also do a combination. You can get pretty quick with this. If you have a three button mouse, it gets pretty quick to navigate the scenes, which I recommend. You can also work this, of course, in your trackpad, but after a day of doing this in your trackpad, you're gonna get wrist pain, really bad wrist pain. So I really, really recommend that you get a mouse. A little bit more about the 3D view. Actually, now that I'll just continue. A little bit more about the 3D view. So over here, right here on top, you have the tools for basic 3D operations. So over here I can select an object. For example, I'm just going to select, let's see what we have here. I'm going to select the head occluder, whatever that is. That seems to be like an object that is kind of a placeholder for the person's head. And then if I press this button over here, this is the move tool, this is the rotate tool, and this is the scale tool. Okay, these three tools are kind of essential, and you'll be using them a lot. So over here in the move tool, once you click, you will see that these three axes appear. This is kind of standard. This is called the gizmo, and you can find it in a lot of different 3D softwares. And what the gizmo allows you to do is you can pull the gizmo around, and okay, this is not doing what I want. It seems that the scene is locked for some reason, so I'm just going to start with a new project. I'm going to discard this. I wasn't kind of expecting that, so I'll start with a new scene. I'm going to add an object to this scene. So as you can see, the plus in the object section, this scene graph that I was telling you about, where all your objects are. When you start a new scene, it's clean. You only have a camera, an environment map, and a light. Okay, so these are the three elements. I click on my camera, you see how the camera over here goes white. I click on the environment map and it's selected, and I click on the light and it's selected. And I can move around, and I basically have the same setup as before, only now there is no filter. Okay, I'm going to add something in my scene so that I can show you how to use the tools, the basic tools. I'm going to add a box, so I can just either search around here for the box, which is there, and then I left click, and then it will add a box to my scene. By default, as you can see, it places the box right where the camera is, which means that we cannot really see it in our scene, so we're going to have to move it. The way you move it is I either click in the view over here, so I click in the object, and then I choose the move tool, and then I just move it around, and as you can see, it appears now in my scene. I can move it up with this I can move it right, I can move it backwards and forwards. And then if you grab the center of the gizmo allows you to do a free movement. It's like you just grab it and place it wherever you like. So you are not bound to be in alignment with a specific axis. The same applies to the rotate tool. If I choose the rotate tool and I kind of center my view a little bit here, you will see that I can grab any of the axes and then it rotates only on that axis, all right? And I grab the other axis and it rotates only in the other axis. And the same thing applies to these, right? Rotation, free rotation doesn't really make a lot of sense. So yeah, you can rotate on a per axis basis. And then scale, the scale tool, what it allows you to do, this is again standard, you can find this in pretty much all the 3D production tools. It allows you to change the dimension in the different axes. So as you can see, I'm now scaling on the y-axis, so the vertical. I can scale on the horizontal, and I can scale on the depth, right? And again, if I grab the center of my gizmo, then it scales all 3 dimensions at the same time. So basically, you just make your object bigger or smaller. I think that it glitches out a bit because I'm also recording this, and I see some insane disk activity going on. But in your laptops, this should go a little bit smoother. And what else do we have here? So as you can see, every time I select an object in my scene, as I said, the inspector changes. And for example, my box right now, which is the object that I have selected, by the way, every object, you can change its name by clicking on it and just change, this can be my cage. Let's say instead of calling it a box, I want to call it a cage. And you can also click here in this checkbox to present the object or hide it. All right, this can become handy when you have a lot of stuff in your screen and you just want to conceal some of it while you're working in another area. But when I select my cage, which was a box before and now it's called cage, you can see that there are some properties here: position, rotation, and scale. Let's imagine that after doing a few adjustments in my scene, all I need to do is just I want to bring it back to the center where it was. And I know that the center is always 0, 0, 0. The center of our scene is always 0, 0, 0. And right now it's in another position, -2, 6, 69, whatever. One thing that I can do if I want to bring it to the center is to just make all these values 0. So I do 0, 0, 0. And then as you can see, the whole box, the whole cage is now placed back where it originally was. I can do the same with the rotation. So the rotation is reset to 0, 0, 0. And it's now, the rotation is no longer the way it was. And I can scale back again to the original size. I happen to know that the original size was 1, so I scale to 1, 1, 1. And again, we have a perfect cube. So all the transformations that we did before can be reverted by using this inspector to precise values that we decided before. All right, over here we have another window, that's the logger. And the logger, well, it just gives us messages that the tool spits out every time we try to do something with it, like for example importing external files. There's another little tool over here that I didn't explain. This is there's this other gizmo. As you can see, if I move my mouse slowly up to the corner of the 3D view, this thing kind of fades into view, and this allows you to very quickly select between different views. So that goes to the top of your scene. If I click in this arrow, then it goes to the front of my scene. If I click in this arrow, it goes to the left side, and if I click on this arrow, it goes back to the front, and again, if I click twice, then it goes to the right. So this allows you to kind of rotate and kind of know where your stuff is. You can also go to the bottom and look at it from the bottom. This can be handy at some point when you're trying to precisely align stuff and make sure that things are seen as you expect them to be seen. One last thing to explain about this 3D view is, as you can see, the camera is out of the camera. There are these kind of wires coming out. What this represents, this is a pyramid. What this represents is the field of view of the camera. So you know, the light rays, if you think of these as light rays coming out of the camera, what they are doing is the screen that we are seeing here, so where we see this woman with a cube partly occluding her face, this woman would be projected into this area over here. So this rectangle that we see, and if I look at it from the front and go away a little bit, you see that that's kind of our iPhone 10 screen form factor. And yeah, that's your projection area. So anything you put between, I will go back again here, yes, so that you can see. Anything you put between the camera and the projection plane will be visible in the scene. But if you drag it out, so I'm going to try and drag that out for you. As you can see, the moment that it comes out of that area, I'm going to do that from the top. So hopefully you also understand the importance of the navigation in 3D. So the moment that this cube comes out of the blue lines, as you can see, it also disappears from view. So the area defined within those blue lines is the visible area in the phone's screen, or in the the final product screen, so to speak. Okay, so that's as far as the 3D view is concerned. That's all we're going to cover. Then over here on the right hand side, we have the preview panel, and what the preview panel allows us to do is, well, redundancy, committee redundancy. What the preview panel allows us to do is to preview our scene as it would be once the entire face detection and face tracking algorithms are applied to it. So at the moment, at the present time, we only have a cube. Our cube is not doing anything much because, well, we are not so skilled with this tool yet, and it takes a little while because all these tools take a while. And all we can do is just basically drag it around, right? So we have this person, and this cube is supposed to react to that person's face, but we don't really know how to do that yet. In the preview panel, there are two modalities. You can choose the webcam modality, and then it switches to your webcam, which is failing now because I'm using the webcam for another purpose. I'll show you that later. But in your case, you can switch back and forth between webcam and preview videos that Snapchat offers. Over here, you have a drop-down menu that allows you to choose a different person with different skin colors, different hairstyles, different makeup, different characteristics, etc. As you can see, they place quite a bit of importance in having a diversity of skin tones, which I think is good. This wasn't so some years ago, so it seems that we're making some progress. And so these are just still images. Snapchat also supports full body tracking, so you're not bound only to the face. You can also place things around in the body. But perhaps what I want to do next is actually show you, these are all static images. So you can see that over here, you can select between live video. So if I select a live video, you can see how there is a, well, it's not really live video, it's rather a pre-recorded video loop. So this person has been recorded, standing still, for example, idle, which is what we see over here. We also have idle person 4, right? She's idle, blinking every now and then, because after all, they were human before they were captured inside of the machine. We can see them opening their mouths. I'm actually going to pull the cue out because this is just kind of hilarious. So of course, all these experiences in AR done for social media, because it relies on the visual language of the selfie, all the possibilities for interaction are contained within the face, which I think is kind of interesting. So all these tools allow you to define, let's say, opening the mouth as some kind of event. Okay, so when the mouth opens, then do this in the filter, etc. This is something that is also supported by Spark AR. Spark AR, and basically it's the most basic form of interaction that you have with these kind of facial recognition algorithms that are running behind much of the face filter content creation aspect of things. You can see again person 2 with this kind of acted performative enthusiasm. I find these videos I could watch them all day long in a loop, running them on my screen as a kind of background noise. Yeah, you can see that there is a queue there on the right. The guy's looking at the queue and now opens the mouth for you. There we go. Smiling also important in social media. You gotta smile. You can't be sad in social media. And as I said, it also does body tracking. So there are also some example videos that basically present the full human body. Another thing that is supported by Snapchat, and that I don't think Spark AR can do this yet, is the use of is to do face filters for pets. So you also have a cat and dog. I also like this video because you can see that the dog is completely green screened. This cat, this dog, and this human have never been in the same room. Wow, must have been so hard to do this. Well, same thing with the cat. There you go. If you want to create face filters for cats, you can use that as an example. And basically what these videos allow you to do is to test your interactions, basically, to test your design with this footage that is provided by Snapchat. I find these videos slightly hilarious and interesting. You can also use your own face, but when you are working back and forth and you want to do a quick test on something, sometimes it gets a bit boring to just smile all the day long at your screen like you're dumb. So it's actually nice to have these videos, I find. So that's as far as the preview tool goes. And yeah, here, as I said, still images on the left, video loops on the right. Okay, so I'm gonna let the video loop just run, not without the dog. Poor dog. I'm just gonna let the idle person, or yeah, this one. All right, that's incredibly well acted enthusiasm. Here at the bottom, you can also select the device, the target device that that you are producing content for. I normally leave it at iPhone 10 because iPhone 10 takes full HD video by default, and that's what you're going to have to produce at the end of this week. So, you know, if you don't have iPhone 10 selected down here, then just go to iPhone 10 and make sure that that's your selection. You can pause the playback at any time. Maybe sometimes you want to adjust something in a specific frame, so just as the person is about to blink and you know you are using that interaction for something, you can just pause and kind of skip and go to the right place so that you can adjust your content to match the expression, or you know, or mismatch. You know, I suggest you experiment with this tool because if you use it the way it's meant, it can also be pretty boring. Over here, down here, there are two buttons, and these are going to be crucial also during this week. So the button on the right, I think this is just barely visible in the stream. The button on the right takes a screenshot of whatever is currently present here. So I'm going to drag my cube just back here so that we have something in the scene. Do we have that in the scene? Oh, it has to reset the filter. Yeah, we have the cube back in there. I'm gonna bring it a little bit closer to the camera and center it a little bit. And again, yeah. So we have our cube there, basically occluding this woman's face, just a little bit. And if I click, as I said here, it will take a screenshot. So click, and then it asks me where I want to save the screenshot. I'm gonna save that in the desktop, and then I'm gonna call this screenshot 001. And save as a JPEG. And this is super handy as a process documentation thing. You basically take a screenshot every now and then, and you can present and see you know, what you were working on, and yeah, what your progress was. And over here, the left button allows you to capture a video clip. So whatever is it that is happening right now in the preview window, you can capture it. As you can see, a spinner shows up. A really tiny spinner shows up. And while this spinner is spinning, you are basically recording video. Once you stop, it will ask you where you want to save it. And this can be my portrait mode video. Okay, I'm going to save that as MP4 and just be done with it. And if I go back again to my desktop, I should be able to see these two pieces of content that I just recorded. So that's the portrait mode video. I'm going to drag that back in. And as you can see, this is the Windows Media Player. What the hell, Windows Media Player? Collaborate with us? Yes, there we go. And this is not running in Lens Studio anymore. This is basically just a captured video. At the end of this week, you will be asked to produce a video of this kind, and probably rotate it 90 degrees to the right. You can do that in Premiere or even in Blender, because we will rotate the screen, so the content will have to be rotated as well. Okay, I'm going to go back to the tool. And I think that's kind of it as a kind of walkthrough. I think that you've seen everything that is important about the tool, at least for this week's purposes. In this video, it has run a little bit longer than I expected. I will make the next videos a little shorter and tighter. Please bear with me. All right. Thank you. See you in the next one.